Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7 talks about Jacob's trouble. That there's going to be a day that is going to hit the land that is going to be termed as Jacob's trouble. Now, what is Jacob's trouble? That is what we're going to talk about in this scripture very briefly. But if you have not yet subscribed, do well to subscribe and hit the notification bell for much important updates and information that is going to come your way. Let's jump right into the video. Now, Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7 talks about there's a day that is going to come that is going to be termed as Jacob's trouble, or it's going to be Jacob's trouble. All right, but what really is Jacob's trouble? Because if you want to understand that scripture, I talked about studying the Bible. You can go back to my previous video. If you want to really understand scripture, you understand there are points that you make or that the scripture make that you are going to mark. There are points that you take out of the scripture that makes you able to interpret the scripture properly. Now, for us to understand Jacob's trouble, we must study Jacob. Now, I found out that the only place that Jacob encounters such a kind of a difficult moment, there are places, many places actually, but one of the places is as regards um, the period whereby he served Laban, and he served Laban 7 years, 7 years, which is 14. But it was the 7 year, the first 7 years, or the last 7 years, whichever. But he served Laban. There was a 7 year period whereby he served Laban that he was not given his own reward, or he was not given what he expected. Instead of Rachel, he was given Leah. So Jacob's trouble is the 7 year period that Jacob served Laban. All right, it's 7 year period, and that 7 year period we can also trace it to the 7 year period of the Antichrist. All right, we can also trace it to the 7 year period of the Antichrist. Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 7 talks about he said, alas, for that day is great. It is a time of Jacob's trouble. It's going to be a period of the Antichrist, I believe personally, but it's going to be also a glorious moment because Jacob is going to be saved out of it. So the people of God, the people of the Lord, they are going to be saved out of it as well. So it's tagged the day of Jacob's trouble. But I believe that is as regards a scriptural point to the end time or to the period whereby the Antichrist is going to reign on it, because Jacob served Laban for 7 years, and it was quite a period whereby he expected Laban to give him what he should have in possession, but Laban supplanted him, and that period was termed as a period of trouble. All right, and we can also see that as the period of the Antichrist, the 7 year period of the Antichrist.